Okay, so as you can probably guess from the title of the video, I recently got COVID or tested COVID positive, which I think this was genuinely the first time I ever got COVID. I don't think I've ever gotten it in the past. And I've been, reasonably pretty cautious over the past couple of years and stuff like that. But then even before that, I don't think I've been sick, as in bedridden sick for, God, maybe 5+ years at this point. So I was long overdue for a stint like this. And I've only just started to today to come good. And I essentially had every symptom imaginable that COVID. The only one, fever, headaches, runny nose, itchy eyes, runny and blocked nose, aches, pains, super cold, no, super warm, but still shivering and stuff like that. Anything and everything. The only ones I didn't have, luckily, was loss of smell and loss of taste, because those would have sucked not to have, because I can put up with the pain, but losing the taste of food would suck huge. But I guess I learnt a few things, or at least kind of appreciated a few things from the experience overall. Oh, and just to add insult to injury, unrelated to COVID, not entirely, but somewhat unrelated, I also burnt my hands. That it's a little bit hard to see. You can probably see it better on that hand there, but I also burnt it on the hand there. That was about a week ago. It's getting better, but still, I think it's going to be a while, and I'm probably going to scar, so there goes my hand modelling career. So if this never worked out, my hand modelling career is also ruined. Whoops. But I guess let's get into the stuff of what I learnt to appreciate while I was COVID sick. And it was horrible, by the way. I was bedridden for days, for multiple days on end. I probably slept 20 plus hours out of the day just because it was so bad. I think the only time I ever really got up was when I needed to go get painkillers because I didn't have any, but we'll get into that in a sec. So the first kind of, oh my God, it looks horrible. Sorry, I'm just looking at the burn on my hand. It's just a massive welt. I'm oh God, that's gross. I just hope I don't pop it because I know that's bad. The first thing I learnt was, God, it is so good when you're healthy. And I think it goes back to that old saying of you can have all the wealth in the world, but if you haven't got your health, you haven't got nothing. And when you can only really, I think, super appreciate that when either you're injured or you're sick, like I was. I was both injured and sick. And man, it sucks when your body rocks like that and you just can't do anything about it and you just gotta wait it out. And the ridiculous thing is, even though for me this is something that will pass, it's a temporary thing, and it has pretty much pretty much recovered. I'd say I'm 95% of the way there. For other people, that's, either if they're immunosuppressed, so they constantly regularly get sick, or if they're just living with a disability or some sort of other, injury or whatever it necessarily may be, that life must be just hell. And not only their life, but the lives of the people around them, especially their family, must be so oriented towards that person's illness or that person's disability, where, God, man, that is just a terrible existence. Not saying it's anyone's fault or anything, but it's just having gone through something like that, just temporarily gone through that kind of issue, it shows you just how underappreciated being healthy is, and having, not being sick and being able to be, fully functioning and having full function of your body is just such a luxury in many respects, and it isn't guaranteed, and you're not entitled to it. But if you do have it, it's man, you definitely have to appreciate it. So I guess that was the first thing that really was kind of brought forward from the whole experience, was being healthy. Well, being sick sucks, and being healthy is a so underrated state of being to be in. And and like I said, you can take it for granted because it's only once you lose something do you really truly appreciate it once it's gone. And having my health kind of coming back now, I'm and all my energy and good stuff coming back. It's just yeah, man, this is the best. Like, I mean, I might not have all the money in the world, I might not have this or that, but man, if if I'm just healthy or just, not afflicted by illness, that is a win. I think in anyone's language, and I think anyone who's gone through something similar, or is going through something like that, can probably attest to how important that is. Then I think the second thing for me was, which was a bit of a shock for me, because like I said, I haven't been sick in so long, so it was a bit of an upset to the routine and how things kind of worked. Like, yeah, my daily routines did not exist while I was sick, because like I said, I was literally asleep for the entirety of the day. So it's like I didn't write in my consciousness journal or anything. I didn't do nothing. I literally just was in bed the whole time. Yes, literally some days I didn't even get out of bed. I just was like, could not do it. So the second thing was the preparedness, and I live by myself, and like I've never done that before. I've been living by myself for about a year now, and like I said, I'd never been sick before. So what was a bit of a shock to me, especially on the Monday when it first kind of really started taking a hold, was I didn't have any painkillers or like flu and fever medication. So early on in that day and on the Sunday night, it was terrible because I had nothing I could treat myself with. I literally, I don't think I slept at all. I think the only moments I may have gotten sleep on Sunday night was when I was probably my body was so physically exhausted that it literally just shut itself down on its own accord, just because I literally just could not function. My body probably just shut down on itself in that time. So that was something that I think I learned was, I think even when you're healthy, I think you need to be prepared for when you could or do get sick. So for me, that would be having the right kind of supplies, be that multivitamin, tablets, painkillers, flu medication, those multivitamin drinks and stuff like that to, get the body, get all the nutrients that the body needs and stuff like that And the funny thing about those drinks is they always taste awful when you're healthy, but when you're sick, it's like some sort of life-saving elixir that just tastes so good, because I think it's got everything you're lacking at the time. And I mean, yeah, another takeaway I think for me, and this one hurt I think more than anything else, was, and you can probably see it in the way I look right now, is my just body was just battered. I just looked horrible. I looked in the mirror and I'm just like, what is this person? This isn't me. And that was a big shock. So I wasn't able to, I know this sounds so funny, but I wasn't able to cleanse or moisturize my face at all because of the burnt hands. I couldn't get my hands wet, so I couldn't moisturize or cleanse my skin. So I'm dealing with the problem of that, and I look so ugly, but that'll give me a week or two, give me a face mask or so, and I'll be all good. So that's on the mend. So I guess that was another thing, was being prepared, which I was definitely not prepared for being sick, and that one was a bit of a shock for me. The third one was vaccines. Oh man. Who knows? I think if I didn't... So I've got 3 shots of the Pfizer vaccine. I think I got the last one in May, so about 5 or 6 months. Now, the vaccines, after 6 to 9 months, start losing their effectiveness when it comes to preventing you from catching COVID. So, it's more likely that you can get infected after that time. But the thing that the vaccines also do is they reduce the severity of the disease. And I think if I didn't have the 3 shots, I think, who knows, I could have possibly, the symptoms could have been so severe that I could have probably ended up in hospital or maybe on a respirator or some shit like that. That really scared, not scared me, but I was like, damn, was I so thankful that I did the right thing and got vaccinated and made sure that I did the right thing, not just for, the society and everyone else, but also for myself, just to make sure that I reduced the likelihood of anything going bad. And the funniest thing, and this is the hard thing about it, is like, so for me, I was absolutely, destroyed by this thing, but a friend of mine who I accidentally gave it to him, like actually gave COVID to him, because at the time I didn't know, neither one of us knew I had it at that point, because the symptoms hadn't shown themselves yet. He got it, and all he kind of got was a bit of a body ache pain, like, which is it's so weird and random. And I think I don't even think he's gotten the booster. I think he just got the first 2 shots. I don't know if he's actually gotten the booster. I'll have to check with him. But even if he did, like, if we both had the boosters, I got everything. Meanwhile, he just kind of got a little bit of a body ache, and that was about it. So yeah, like I gotta hand it to him. They did a great job, creating those vaccines, because it could have been a lot worse for me if I didn't have those things, and I did, and it was still terrible, but it was probably better than it could have been. So I am grateful for that, I guess. It's all you can be. It's made me realise I also need to get a flu shot. I think flu season here where I live is ended, but I normally don't get the flu shot because I'm always like, oh nah, I'll let other people get it because they only have so many of it. But like now I'm like, nah man, I think I'm always gonna get a flu shot, or like, protect myself against that stuff, because I think that's actually one of the big reasons why I had such severe symptoms is, for so long I have not had the flu or anything. Like, I've had the odd sore throat or the odd slight like headache, but for like 5+ years I haven't had anything major. Nothing like where, like, because I had to take work off, like, and I'll get to that in a second, but like I had to take work off because there was just no way I could function. Like, I could, even just looking at my phone screen hurt my eyes and my brain. Like, it just seared through my brain, which is a very weird experience when you think about, like, is that what's happening all the time when you're looking at a screen? And the answer is probably yes, but you probably just don't notice it because you're healthy. But yeah, it is what it is, right? So that was the third one. The fourth one was, I guess, that I constantly just had to keep telling myself, like, to be positive around the kind of, even though I didn't feel good or anything. I think the best I could kind of do was just try and be as positive as possible, and just always constantly reminding myself that, just like with most things, it's only temporary. It's just temporary. It's just only going to be a certain amount of time, and then things will come good. And I think when you put yourself in that mindset, even when you are sick, like, it does, not saying it's going to like cure you, or like that mindset is necessarily going to cure you, but it does make things a lot more, palatable. And because then you realize, it's only a matter of time, and if you can just, you just keep holding out, and yeah, you'll be all right. And to be honest, like, the other thing was, damn, painkillers are good, eh? Like, I mean, the headaches were so annoying, but then when I finally got painkillers, like this thing called Nurofen, which we have in Australia, damn, those things work, yeah, 100%. Like, they definitely are not lying, because I was taking them like at a certain like interval, and yeah, it definitely did what I wanted it to, and it got rid of the headache. Well, didn't get rid of the headache, but I didn't notice it. But then it would then come in waves. Like, the drugs would then wear off, and then I would feel it coming back. And the thing is, because you can only have so many in a day, like, I'd have to wait a couple hours before I could take more, because your liver and your body can't handle having too many too quickly. So I was like, oh yes, that's where it was like, it would come in waves, or I'd have a couple hours where it's like, oh sweet, I'm not dying, and then like it would come back, and then I was like, oh no, this hurts. Then one of the last ones, I think it's the last one, which was, I guess, just like recognizing that, and I guess it is related to the first point, which is, your health is everything. And I think when you're sick, you just kind of have to let everything else in your life kind of fall to the wayside temporarily while you're sick, and just focus on recovering. Because obviously, like, I've started a new job recently, and I definitely didn't want to be missing a whole week's of work, but I had no choice. And the good thing in my situation was I have a team that, the team I work in is really understanding, and just overall my workplace is really understanding because we're the health department. So I think when it comes to like COVID, illnesses, I think we're pretty understanding when it comes to that stuff. So that's really good, and I think that's another takeaway for me was like, yeah, it's like when you're sick, just focus on recovery. Don't focus on anything else. Just let everything else fall to the wayside, because although life can seem really hectic at times and it's all going, it's still, when you're sick, what you realize is that although things do go at a fast pace, you can engage with it in and out when you need to. And when you're sick, that's one of those periods where you can disengage from the hustle and bustle and the fast pacedness of life, and just focus on yourself and you for a bit, and getting back to where you need to be. Because if you're not at 100% before when engaging in life, then clearly you'll be doing yourself and others a disservice. So I think that was another thing for me that was kind of like takeaway from my whole kind of COVID experience. I don't know if there's any kind of self-help knowledge or self-development related principles you can take away from it. I'm sure you can find your own in what I've been saying here, but this is just what I wanted you to know, that I was sick, and I do know that last week I recorded the video and I set it up to be scheduled to come out at the time because I knew I was going to be away last Saturday, but then the upload failed and I was already away at the time, so I didn't know about it, and I was going to fix it, but then I've been sick for like the past week, so I hadn't really had the time to look at it. So I'll fix that today. And I didn't do a blog post yesterday because my brain was still hurting, just because I couldn't, I tried to sit down to write one, but I was just like, my brain was just zapping me in the back of my head, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'll be doing this. So instead, what I'll do to make it up is I'll just do another video for this weekend, and then you can have that instead of the blog post. And who knows, maybe if I'm feeling extra generous, I might do the extra video and then still go on and write the blog post, but we'll play that one by ear, see how I'm feeling. But yeah, so best wishes, man, what a way to sign off the episode. Whatever, just, I guess, focus on staying healthy, and definitely try to avoid getting COVID, because that shit is toxic. See yous, bye.